Assalamu alaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Today's story is quite an interesting one. Again, it's to do with the whole world of jinn and how people are they just jump to the whole jinn theory very, very quickly. Essentially, this is a story about a person who got a loan, sort of a construction type mortgage from a government scheme that he applied for. Now he took that money and added some more money on top of it, and then went and bought the land and put his blood, tears and sweat into it. He absolutely did everything he can to possibly make it the best thing he can ever make it. So he got all the best materials, the best construction company you can get, really put in all the effort he can into it. And then subhanAllah, after putting a lot of effort into it, he brought in the furniture from the best that money can buy. Then he had this housewarming party, one thing after another, and alhamdulillah, everything went well. His family moved in. They brought in everything that they needed to. Then they started settling in, and as soon as they started settling in, one of his daughters turned back to him and she said, I hear some noises in my room. And he obviously disregarded it as you're just imagining it. And then slowly, eventually, her brother heard the noises, and he started hearing noises. And the noises are more like, it wasn't like a certain pattern, it was just like knocking, and he's trying to trace it, but they can't really quite figure it out. Then eventually the mum started hearing that noise, and the thing is, at night it became even more. So one day, up until now the father was still in denial about the whole thing, and a little bit of, oh my god, I put all this effort in and this house haunted. Then eventually one day he went downstairs to the kitchen, and on his way there he heard the noise. And the thing is, again, it was at night, so the noise got even more higher and higher and higher, and a bit more erratic, but obviously there's no pattern to it. And then he started mentioning the story to his neighbour, to his friends, and a lot of them just went straight, it's a jinn, definitely a jinn. Your house is possessed and you need to bring in a sheikh to read the Quran as in form of exorcism, and inshallah it will all go. The man wasn't convinced, but eventually the noise just kept continuing, and so he just thought, let me just do that. He went, brought the sheikhs, brought the people in to read the Quran, and they read one person after another, and yet the noise still continued. And they were still convinced that there was something wrong with this house. Then eventually he said, this is getting too much for me, I can't handle it anymore. And then he said, okay, that's it. He went to rent out a flat, and then he put the house for rent. Then eventually found a tenant who came in, 6-month contract, ready. Week 1, the guy was asking for his deposit back, and he said, that's it, I can't stay in this house. Because what's wrong with the house? You liked it. Obviously he knows why, but you liked the house. Why did you change your mind? Because I'm not going to live with jinns in the house. That's the last thing I want to live with them. No money in this world. Even if you let me live in there for free, I'm leaving. So he went. Then he realised that that's it. The house became so famous for this jinn, the haunted house story, that every time somebody walks past it or even expresses an interest to rent that place out, there's always somebody out there in the neighbourhood who's ready to tell him the stories. And eventually what had happened is that the whole neighbourhood had devised new types of stories. The story had evolved. It's gone from noises to jinn running after you, things moving, things breaking. All of this, just people added their imaginative touch to it, as if they had some creative license to add to the story, which is already freaking the family as it is. And then eventually what had happened is they said, that's it, I'm going to sell it. Again, anybody pops by just to see it, there's always somebody there to tell him about the story of the jinn and how you'll be chased out of the house and you're not the first one and people have ran off. And subhanAllah, and that was just making things worse for the rightful owner. Then eventually, he was just waiting, so he just left it for sale, but he couldn't return back, so he stayed in the flat. One day, a man and his wife drive past, and they were house hunting, but the money that they have was just about enough to buy a very rundown, one-bedroom, detached, in the worst area in the city. And then they sort of found themselves driving into this neighbourhood, inshallah one day we'll have the money to move into this area. Oh, look at this. And then they came across this house for sale. So, Allah, if only we had the money to buy this house, wouldn't that be amazing? And he said, oh yeah, that'd be great. Then his wife just said, well, just talk to him. Oh no, how long? The money we have would just be enough to buy a few bricks of this house, yet alone the entire house. Because you lose nothing. Just make a phone call, do some inquiries, you never know what will happen. Listen to your wives, people. And then what happened is that he went and then saw one of the neighbours, said, well, who's the owner of the house? Because why do you want to know? Because, well, I wanted to buy it. Because, no, haven't you heard? There's loads of jinn in this house is haunted, there's ghosts, and he gets chased, and it's a big story, and you're not the first one. The same story, the same spiel that everybody gets. This person goes, okay, we'll deal with the jinn later. I just want to see the house. I mean, obviously, probably they had a bit of pressure from the missus to, at least try it. Because, well, if you really wanted to, he lives in a flat in that area, pop by and talk to him. Because, inshallah. He went to the flat, met up with the owner. He said, I wanted to see the house that you have for sale. Because, yeah, of course. They went over, 2 cars, he followed him to the house. They reached the house, opened the house, everything beautiful, everything's nice, obviously there's no noise at that time. Brilliant, all good. Then he goes, how much do you want it? I mean, this guy is just thinking, oh my God, subhanAllah, the amount of money this house will attract, or interest this house will attract. Obviously he's got offers coming out of his ears at this stage. And what had happened is that he said, well, how much do you have to pay for this house? He goes, well, I've only got like a small amount. I was just trying my luck to see how much do you have? Just tell me how much you have. Because, well, all I've got is X amount of money. This X amount is equal to 1/3 of the value of the house. So he just said the number. He just said, yeah, I've just got this amount. The man looks at him, he goes, you have the money? He goes, yeah, yours, done. Tomorrow let's go and finish the paperwork. You serious? Yeah. Is there anything I need to know about the house? If you sold it to me for this amount? No? All good. They went, exchanged, contracts exchanged. The house is officially the new owners. And then he went. He didn't move his family into the house directly. What he'd done is just that he waited a little bit, sorted himself out financially to get things into place, and then he'd go in there by himself and he'd just explore the house, just invite the family just to have tea and coffee in there, and lunch in the new house, but not moving officially until he sorts out a problem. Obviously he didn't want to tell them what the problem is. And then he started hearing these noises in the house, and then he's hearing that sort of noise coming out of the walls. So he kept looking around, got a big piece of paper, and then he started marking where these noises are coming to try and sort of figure out a pattern of some sort. Unknown to him, he just sat there thinking, okay, subhanAllah, nothing, it's weird, it's only this place and it's that place. Then he decided to get a few construction guys, a few labourers to come in with their tools. He didn't tell them what the problem is. He goes, alright, I've marked the parts of the wall that I want you to break open. There's a bit in the floor here. I want you to break that open. I want a hole made in this wall and that wall. Why? What's wrong, sir? Is there anything? How come such a beautiful wall? This, that, I'm changing the design. There we go. Bismillah. Took a big sledgehammer, went through the wall. 1-2 bashes, and then big hole appeared. And then they saw something inside the wall. Like, just think about it. After everything you've heard, what do you think the guy found? He found rabbits. A rabbit hatch, or whatever hut or house. Rabbits were residing in that area in his house. Then, just like, what? They can't be trapped within the wall cavity. Then he looks up over the dividing wall between his house and his neighbour's house, only to see that his neighbour is actually breeding rabbits, and the rabbit had managed to make a hole, sort of a trench, into his house or through the wall cavity, and that's what they stay. And at night they just make all these sounds and symbols, and subhanallah, that's all it was. All he had to do was just block those holes off, and no more noise. Or you know what the reason is now. It's no longer a mystery, no longer jinn, so just leave it. So I don't know exactly what he did in the end of it, but at the end of it, he got a house for 1/3 of his quality, just because he actually tried to inquire what was wrong and not go by what people say. He didn't let his imagination drive him wild. So, lesson learned. If you see something, just inquire a little bit and let the hearsays build upon what people tell you, but go and investigate a little bit. You might be better off. Hope you enjoyed the story. I know it's not the Jinn story that you were looking out for, but lesson learned. Not everything's Jinn. You don't need to attribute everything to Jinn. There are things out there that make noises beyond Jinn, so inquire a little bit before you let your imaginations run wild. Until next time, take care, brothers and sisters. Assalamu alaikum.